Wouldn't want that.
And if you are, they mail you $100 check.
Oh, yeah.
So my name is Nikki, I'm the curator at the museum here, and we've been doing topics about Pemberton last summer, and we decided to do the same thing this summer. And today's topic is town development from the 1970s through to the 1990s. And this came about because last year we published the Pemberton Gazette, and Shirley Henry had served as mayor for 15 years, and she did a little article that explained some of the milestones of town development, and I thought that was a really important topic to record for our archives. So Shirley's agreed to walk us through Pemberton's town development, because I think in the 70s the town was about the size of 200 people, less than 200, and these days the town is 5,000 plus, and known as one of the fastest growing municipalities of its size in Canada. George Henry, no relation to Shirley Henry, served as an alderman with town council in the 70s?
60s.
In the 60s. So he's going to talk about his experiences as an alderman at that time. And I'll really just turn things over to you guys to tell us your tales.
All right, I was really looking forward to hearing George Underhill make a few remarks. George was a mayor. He's a crusty old critter from Lower Mainland, but he's definitely a doer, and he did some significant things for the village. However, he wasn't feeling well. He's 92, so we'll have to forgive him, but he did promise that he would try to come back again. And Georgina had car troubles, so she is so distraught with her mechanical, technological problems that she didn't feel up to it. Anyway, here we are. I'm the ringer, as they call it. I think to start, it would be interesting just to put Pemberton into perspective. It was incorporated in 1956. It had about 150 some odd souls in it. And it was mainly just a station and stop for the Pacific Great Eastern. But they did have a few amenities. They had a forestry station, they had a police station, they had a grocery store, they had a few other things. But it was very, very tiny. Around mid-60s, it boasted 2 gas stations, a hotel, train station, grocery store, post office, bank, drugstore, hardware, an elementary school, a new high school, and not much else. The beer parlor was men's side and ladies and escorts, which was a sad loss to mankind when they joined them. However,
Was that a joke?
checking to see if you're awake. Yeah, at any rate, there wasn't much here, but the town was on the move, and what was significant was that there was a power line development that came through in 1948 and 1958, and these provided the first real road accesses into this area. Previously, all traffic came in either by walking or by rail. So the highway was on its way, and that was mid-60s.
How far was the highway at that time?
It went as far as Alta Lake, which was Whistler.
Okay, so,
And then they finished the last bit in 1965, and you could actually drive it in the winter, I think 66 or 67. So there we were. There was a water system, and from the creek, but there was no sewer, and everybody used septic tanks, including all the businesses, and everybody was on a tank. I just want to digress here. When I became councillor, we had a mayor called Ben Cherry. And he was an English gentleman, very straight, stiff upper lip. But just to give you some perspective in how things were done, because Shirley will show you, because she was on the force that strove for modernization. But there was always a water supply problem in Pemberton, and they used to just stick a pipe into the creek, feed it into some sort of a crude wooden tank, and then with all sorts of pipes they would bring it into the village. Well, Ben Cherry wanted a more reliable source of water, so he appointed me water commissioner after I was elected alderman, and told me that there was a little lake on Signal Hill, just by 1 Mile Lake, and that if we tapped into that, then we could gravity feed into the Pemberton system and have sufficient water. Well, I looked all over that damn hill for the lake, and all I found was a little swampy puddle with a few sick frogs in it. And anyway, I reported this, and he said he must have been mistaken. So he sent me up to the creek and told me just to make a small little diversion with the pipe was, and where it was, and that would be a sufficient intake. Well, the first big rainstorm we had, everything went down the creek, we'd never seen again. And it wasn't until about 1.5 years later that another alderman, actually Philip Perkins, hired a big machine, and they went up the creek, stuffed a great big fir log right across it, built a dam, and they were able to get a reasonable supply of water. But this is the way things were done in the old days. But anyway, when the road opened to the coast, they had the road coming in and all sorts of opportunities. And this was showing when Evans Products came in with